I'm just working on my ability to just mash the trigger, slap the trigger, bash the trigger, whatever you want to call it, and do that without disturbing my sight picture, right? So I have that 8-inch steel and I have a 22, so I'm not gonna have recoil. So the gun moving up in recoil is not gonna be a factor here, but that's fine, because what I'm looking at is being able to just press the trigger and not influence the gun so that I still hit the target. So I know that if I miss, since the gun is a 22, it's not because the gun recoiled and my sights were above the target once I pressed the second shot. If I missed, it's because when I pressed the trigger, I added firing hand tension or support hand tension or removed tension, or I did something along those lines to influence the gun right, left, up, down. Keep in mind that the idea of where you place your finger on the trigger is a complete myth. That doesn't matter. As long as you press the trigger straight back without moving the sights off target, you will get a hit. Outside of wind and all the other crazy shit that could be happening. But so what I'm gonna do is just bring the gun up, center my dot, and press off 2 shots as fast as I can. So I'm gonna shoot pairs of 2. So if all these ignite, I'll get 5 pairs of 2 per mag. And you should hear the impacts on the steel back to back, ping, 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 ping. And if I miss, then that means that I did something when I pressed the trigger to influence the gun, because the gun isn't moving off the target. So that second sounded like I may have had a miss in there, maybe shot 7, I'm not sure. Definitely on those we're good. Shit, that was me. That was the gun. I jerked that first one, so that was me. Let me start the timer and then I can get my splits on these. So it's interesting, all of those were hits. So I had a 20, a 20, a 22, a 19, a 21. All right, so watching my dot, I can see it moving down a little bit. So when I'm pressing the trigger, I am influencing the gun down slightly. It's just not enough to miss at this distance. But that's something I need to be mindful of. That is one of my issues. When I do miss low, it is because I influenced the gun when I started to apply pressure to the trigger. So that's something that I'm going to be a little more mindful of, just making sure that the only movement that I see in the dot is from recoil. And although the dot is lifting in recoil, it's so slight. It's just like the dot is just kind of bouncing slightly in the center of the target. But when it's dipping below where I'm aiming, that's me. So let's run another mag and try to really be mindful of my firing hand tension. Let's start my timer. Did have a miss in there. So I had a 20, a 20, a 20, a 19, and a 21. So I'm hovering around 20 to 21. I'm gonna see if I can squeeze out all teams on this one and see whether or not we can shoot a little bit faster, because as I try to go faster, I'm more likely to have firing hand tension, which is going to cause issues. So I want to fight through those at speed. You don't get faster by going slow. All right, so I know some of those splits were faster. I think I had 1 miss in there, but just being more deliberate. All right, so we had a 20, another 20, maybe they weren't faster, another 20, a 19, and a 21. So it felt faster, but it wasn't, which is really why you want to use a timer and get some actual data, because what you think you're doing and what's actually happening might not be actually happening. I'm going to turn it down, my sensitivity a little bit, because it's picking up some of the shots from the people on the other ranges or on the other bays. I'm going to run it again. Once again, the emphasis, not so much on the hits. I know I can hit an 8-inch steel from here, but watching my dot, not focused on it, but just paying attention to the dot and what it's doing as I'm pressing the trigger, because what it's doing is going to be a reflection of what my rounds are doing and where they're impacting because of what the gun is doing. All right, so consistent firing hand tension. It doesn't help if you get trigger freeze. I just can't run this trigger faster. That's as fast as I can actually get this bitch to run. All right, so 22, 22, 21, and that's it, because a few of those rounds didn't run. So I'm gonna keep working on that. With my carry gun, I can get into the teens a little more consistently. But with this, excuse me, I cannot. But that's what I'm going to do, just burn a bunch of rounds, just working on pressing the trigger without influencing the gun. Again, that's why 22 is great to have, because in something like this, it doesn't matter that I'm shooting 22, because it's not about recoil. It's just about your ability to keep the gun steady as you press the trigger. So it saves me a shit ton of money if I want to go through high volume round count days. I think I already shot 300 rounds, so we have some more here that we'll go through.